Welcome to the Infinite Wealth Podcast. I'm Cameron Christensen, along with our co-host Anthony Faso. We just wrapped up our interview of Rabbi Daniel Lapin. Today is going to be part 2 of our interview. Anthony, what's the takeaway you had?
Well, I'm glad we broke it up into 2 because there was a lot of information. We want to make sure you have some time to enjoy these stories that he shares. And one in particular that stood out to me was, what do we do as far as passing down our legacy and the inheritance to our children? And what he had talked about, something we always talk about, not just dollars, which more important is sense or financial sense. And he's saying before you can give them or pass down money, we need to make sure we've passed down the values and that they have that they have incorporated them. So I thought that was a good piece. What stood out to you, Cam?
Yeah, we did. We asked the questions, and I think we asked a lot of them about family and how you kind of interpret that or educate your kids on finances. And so one of the things that he gave away was just a practical example that we could use with our children to teach them about money. And one of them was having them bid for chores around the house. Right. And so it just speaks to me right now because our kids are at that phase in life where we've got chores and sometimes they don't want to do them or there's some competition for which one. So I like that. I won't ruin it for you, but really good piece of practical advice that you could implement right away. Again, really enjoy having Rabbi Lapin on the podcast. Rabbi is known as America's Rabbi, a noted rabbinical scholar, best-selling author, and podcast host. And he pairs his inheritance as a descendant of a multi-generational rabbinical family with his background in science and business, and he teaches ancient Jewish wisdom in an unparalleled manner. Enjoy this week's episode.
Take care.
Welcome to the Infinite Wealth Podcast, where we teach clients how to build wealth and create passive income without the risk of Wall Street.
On your website, you've got on there the Financial Prosperity Collection, which is over 10 hours of resources. If someone goes to your website and kind of checks that out, what can they find in there?
So I decided to create the most compact program that I was capable of doing that would tell you everything you need to know, but no more, to be able to get going, to figure out what you should be doing, how you should implement it, some of the things that you need to do to expand your circle of contacts, the things to do in order to be more effective and to use your time more effectively, to be focused. All of these things I decided to put inside this 10-hour program. It's a video training program, and you can read all about it. You can even see a little bit of it on my website at rabbidaniellapin.com. What can I say? I mean, it's I'm as excited as could be with it. I love the response I get from people who have implemented it and put it into their daily lives. Yeah, I want to see people making more money. That's good for everybody.
I agree. I want to make more money too, Rabbi. The part of your program, I know.
By the way, in a lot of places, making that admission is somehow tantamount to a proclamation of malfeasance, of moral inferiority. You know what? You care about money? Yeah, actually, I do very much.
I'm not going to lie, right? There's family members, friends that I would probably not make that proclamation around is because I know their viewpoint.
Yeah.
And that,
now, look, I mean, I teach the 5 F's.
Yeah.
Family, important. Faith is important. Even if people many people don't realize. People say, I'm not a person of faith. I'm not religious. Okay, fine. That's like saying, you know what? I got pimples. That's all there is to it. Hey, they got medication to fix that.
Yeah.
Not having faith is a tremendous handicap because every time you extend credit, it's an act of faith. Every time you buy inventory, every time you start a business, every time you buy a piece of real estate, every one of those actions is an act of faith. So family and faith, your health, fitness, your friends, very important. And all of that. Your 5th one is your finances, and they are all needed.
When I was
Cameron, I got a question for you.
Yeah. Go for
You
it.
know, when you had talked about, and I think we can all relate, there's certain people in our circle that we don't feel comfortable talking about money. And what I'm wondering is it because of those people have, you know, a moral issue with money? Or is it maybe they haven't been successful with money, so they don't want to hear other people that have been successful?
People feel, partially uh, for reasons, as I said earlier, that they are convinced that the only way to get money is by taking it from other people. People really do believe that, and it's a huge error. It's an understandable error because it takes a level of knowledge and sophistication to understand it. And the proof of this is that, you know, nobody challenges the amount of money they pay an NFL quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But people are okay with the huge sums of money. Nobody quibbles about the money they pay a movie star for 12 days of work. And I think because in most cases, people understand that the guy can get a ball and run it up the field faster than I could. And that's pretty amazing. I mean, I look at him and I say, that's incredible. I couldn't do that. In fact, I don't know anyone who could do that. Or, you know, I see a movie star and I say, you know, look, he's good looking. I got to admit it. He really is. He looks better than me. He's not wiser than me, but he looks better than me. I get it. And that has money. There is value in that. I get it. But people don't always understand. You know, what does the CEO do? Sits on the top floor in the corner office telling other people what to do, and all of a sudden, you know, his salary is $12 million, and the janitor in his company, you know, makes $12,000. Yeah. And the answer is, I can explain that. It would need 10 minutes of your serious attention, and it's very real. And at the end of it, you'll understand that what he's doing is even more amazing than the quarterback.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, I'd love to.
On the surface of it, people don't get it. And so they assume that that money is the result of greed, not realizing that if there's one thing that's going to make it very difficult for somebody to create wealth, it is the emotion of greed. That's going to undermine your effectiveness, not going to improve it.
Absolutely. And one of the questions, you're looking at the 5 F's: family, finance, faith, fitness, friendship. Finance, I think we could go on for days, but one of the questions that I came up with when I was looking at the family piece,
Yes,
was when I think of kind of the Jewish community, I think of a very tight-knit, family bonds are very strong. I consider myself a strong Christian, right? Our kids have grown up in the church, but I don't feel like I'm anywhere near that level of familyness. Like, what am I missing, right? What is the difference between those two?
it's hard for me to answer that because I do have Christian friends who have every bit as strong a family structure and a family glue as I do. And so I'm not really sure that that's necessarily a difference between the faiths as much as it is a difference in application. So for instance, we've got one day a week called the Shabbat, the Sabbath. And on that day for 25 hours, the children are home. And it gives my wife and I an opportunity to indelibly imprint our values on the children. They're not at school, they're not with friends. We don't care what's going on. Nobody cares what's going on. For the Shabbat, everybody is home for 25 hours. That's the family is together. That's what it is. Can you go out to friends? No. You got friends, you can have them come to our house, but you are home for the period of Shabbat. Now, in the early days, you know, that takes a fair amount of resilience in order to be able to tolerate the crying and screaming and objecting. But after a little while, that becomes part of the strength of the family. So that and a variety of other things are practiced by families that want to build really strong and intense family connection.
How many children do you have, Rabbi?
We are blessed with 7 children, 6 daughters and a son.
And what are the age ranges, if you don't mind me asking?
25 to 35, something like that.
Okay. I've got 3 children. Mine are 13, 11, and 9.
Wonderful.
And,
are the boys or girls?
My son is the oldest. He's 13, and then I have 2 girls, 11 and 9.
Yeah. So the girls have been relatively easy up to now.
True.
But that's about to change over the next few years. And with your boy, in many ways, you're now approaching the good years. But what a boy does between the ages of 13 and 23 very much shape the future of his life. Very much.
The question I had was kind of around money, right? I kind of view my kids as kind of coming into this awareness of money, right? And this exchange, right? And so the question I had was like, what would you teach someone that kind of approaches you with a blank slate in regards to money and they're willing and eager to learn? Like, where would you start with them? You
don't mean children, right? You mean
I do, yeah, I do mean children. I said anyone, but specifically young children.
So first of all, you don't give anyone an allowance. You give them opportunities to earn money.
Love that.
Number 2, every money that comes in, you teach them, you show them that, and when they're little, you actually have 3 different little piggy banks or money boxes, or if envelopes or bottles or whatever it is. But the first thing, whatever money the first thing that comes off is 10% for charity. And then a third goes to savings. And a third is discretionary spending. And then a third is for essential spending, things they have to do.
Awesome.
One thing I did with my daughter, because you learn on the first one, right?
Yes.
Right. What I had with her is I didn't want her to think she's part of the union, right? That she's going to get this set amount of money, right, each pay period. So we created like a task list or a chore list, and because also I didn't want to set a limit or whatever the amount is. I don't know. This was a long time. Maybe it was $5 or whatever it is, but I wanted it to be, the more she worked, the more she got, and the less she worked, the less she got. So we kind of had this chart. And when she did these tasks, like, she got a point. And what was interesting, we always had a hard time. My daughter did not like doing the dog run, picking up after the dogs, but when she got a point for doing it, she was much more apt to do it. And what I thought was interesting, it's the same task, it's not a glorious task, but it's the same task, but her mindset changed, because she looked at it from a different perspective, from it being a task or a chore to more of being a opportunity. And Cameron, you need any more advice raising children, that I am here for you.
Wow. Well, one of the nice things about having 7 children is we could put certain jobs out for bid.
Oh, wow.
So walk me through that. Give me an example of that.
Mowing the lawn, for instance. There were 2 or 3 of them who had the strength to mow the lawn. And so we'd ask for bids and award it to the one who offered us the lowest bid. If they didn't do a satisfactory job, then they're out of the bidding next time.
I like that.
Wow.
And then we'd also speak to them about investing. And we'd also, we applauded them. We didn't pay them reluctantly. We'd pay them enthusiastically and admiringly, because making money is evidence that you have served and been useful to your fellow human beings. That's wonderful.
Well, go ahead.
In regards to, let's just take this a little step further with our children. With a lot of our clients, well, they're going to end up having much more death benefit than they ever imagined. And they're building assets that hopefully we've been able to help exceed their expectations. There's always this question of how do we pass this down to the next generation without causing harm?
Yes. Yeah. Legacy and succession and inheritance are always the very big questions. I've probably got at any given time, I've probably got 7 or 8 clients who are consulting with me exclusively on succession and inheritance issues, because handing over a lot of money to the next generation, when you aren't 100% sure that you've also successfully handed off the values to the next generation, is a huge problem. And so the time to be thinking about these things is long before it becomes relevant and necessary. Implanting value, you've got to be able to trust your children on the in the area of values long before you worry about inheritance.
That is one of the main problems I see with kind of estate planning. Historically, is right. The attorneys come in and they essentially separate the family from the wealth.
Sure they do. Yes.
And they prolong this whole exchange, right, until typically someone passes away, and then there's this windfall that shows up. Could be a 40, 50-year-old individual, and they really haven't been taught anything about the family values, nor have they been taught about money.
Yeah.
And right, it can ruin them. And so I do see that happen a lot. So
it's really, part of the family finance crosslink is that if you understand that the same values shape your family as shapes your finances, then as the years go by, you have much less to worry about in the sense of the next generation dissipating or misusing the value they will acquire simply by being your offspring. And there's nothing wrong with that. As a matter of fact, the death tax is thoroughly immoral. It's an attempt on the part of negative forces to drive a wedge between generations. It's a wonderful thing to be able to inherit money from your parents. It's wonderful, as long as with the money came values.
Well said.
Rabbi, I wanted to follow this up, but then I just got lost in the conversation. We originally talked about, we had the term of giving back.
Yes.
Right. And how I've heard you say that many times, and I agree with it. But I don't know what phrase do we use to replace, I want to give back, or I want to go back to my school.
I want to give a gift to the local hospital. I want to give a gift to the art gallery. I want to give a gift to the home for abandoned cats. I'm not giving back to society. I'm giving specific gifts.
Perfect.
Rabbi, on your course, you have a course titled "Prepare to Increase Your Income While Becoming a Better Person." I had 2 questions. What will someone learn in that course? And then the second part of that is, becoming a better person a prerequisite for increasing your income?
Something that, again, will surprise a lot of people is that there are many, many, many more, a much higher percentage of teachers are being kept out of the classroom for moral malfeasance than business people. A higher proportion of doctors have lost their licenses because of moral misbehavior than business people. The fact is that apart from a few highly publicized instances like Bernie Madoff 6 or 7 years back, other than that, the overwhelming majority of people who make money in their own businesses are thoroughly decent, upright, likable people. And
so you got a chance, Anthony.
And it's really important because there are exceptions. Obviously, sometimes people just fall into something. I don't know anything about what sort of person Bill Gates is. I certainly have heard nothing negative about him, but if somebody told me, he's a really rotten person and he became one of the richest people in the world, I say, I get it. When your mother is on the board of directors of IBM and you're at Harvard University and your best friend at high school, at one of the most prestigious and advanced high schools in the country, is a computer nerd, and the two of you start fiddling around with this newfound device, literally on the cusp of the digital revolution, all the stars lined up for you. That's what happened. That doesn't happen for most of us. For most of us, we have to make money the old-fashioned way. We've got to provide goods or services to people who know us, like us, and trust us. That's the secret. And so, yes, being a miserable human being doesn't matter if you're 1 in 10,000 of people for who the stars just line up. But, I once met George Burns at the Hillside Country Club in Los Angeles, and it was just as he was celebrating his 100th birthday. And at one point I said to him, you've just in the time we've been talking, you've lit up 2 cigars. Would you say that's one of the secrets? Was that what, would that be one of the secrets to long life? And he said, don't be an idiot. There are people who live to be more than 100 years old who smoke 6 cigars a day. Don't count on you being one of them.
Awesome, Rabbi. Thank you again. One more time, where can somebody find more information, right?
As much as they want at RabbiDanielLapin.com.
Awesome.
We'll make sure we get that in the show notes.
Rabbi, I got a question for you.
Anything.
The last time we did an interview, you had a cold mug of Blue Moon.
Yes.
Which was awesome. And to thank you, we sent you a case of Blue Moon.
Which no other interviewer has ever done. No. I mean, I've never forgotten that. So that was an incredibly elegant gesture, and I appreciate it.
Well, what my next question is, now that I know that you like those Heelys or those shoes with the with the bright lights and the wheels, what's your shoe size? And we'll send you a pair.
No, thank you. That was strictly an example, because if you send me a pair of shoes, I'd use them to drink Blue Moon beer out of.
That'd be a sight.
Well said.
That'd be a sight.
No, you please don't. You really don't have to send anything at all. It's genuinely a pleasure to be with you, and anything I can do to help your work and what you do for people, I feel to be a privilege for me. So thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi. I really appreciate you coming back and the sentiment as well. We'll make sure we get the contact information in the notes. So thank you again.
Fantastic. All right. God bless. Lots of prosperity, because if you prosper, then I know there's thousands of your clients are prospering as well.
Go make it a fantastic day.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next episode. Also, check out our website, infinitewealthconsultants.com, to find our podcast along with other additional resources.